Welcome to the LCAR meeting on February 10, 2022 at 8 o'clock in the morning. I think we don't see any witnesses at this point, so there's no rules to take up at this point, but I think I want to turn to Anthea, who I think.
What is going on?
What is going on here? We've got something on our screen here.
Yeah, I know.
Just hold a second.
I don't know what's going on.
I mean, that's what we get, right? When it goes live stream.
Oh my gosh.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. We have a little problem on our screen here. I don't know if you're seeing it also. We can't make it go away, but I think we can all hear each other. So why don't we continue for now? Anthea, you've seen some of the email traffic around whether people, the joint committee and his confusion about House rules, Senate rules, and those rules governing joint meetings. And we seem to have two different opinions about what we could do. So can you help us?
Yes, I can help you, but I also, and I heard someone say at some point, should I go get Senate Secretary Bloomer? This really is a interpretation of your rules question. I've been in consultation with Clerk Rask and Senate Secretary Bloomer about this from earlier in the week, and I've been providing the same information to each of the senators when they said they were not able to attend. So you are operating under Joint Rule 22A, which was most recently amended by Joint House Resolution 13. And under that, it's basically defaulting to your normal operating procedure, which is joint committee meetings are in person. But if a committee member confirms with the committee chair and that member must be absent from committee due to symptomatic illness or direct COVID-19 related circumstances, in which case the member can participate remotely. So you are supposed to be in person, but there's this remote option if you are not able to be in person because of symptomatic illness or direct COVID-19 related circumstances. I am hearing from not just those of you that I can see on the screen right now, but from other people that there's a lot of confusion around, does Joint Rule 22A apply? How do the House and Senate rules intersect here? There's also the fact that Joint Rule 22A is only in place through February 15th of 2022. So this rule that you're operating under is going to go away. I am going to encourage people who have questions to maybe reach out to your colleagues on joint rules or the parliamentarians, Clerk Rask and Senate Secretary Bloomer, with more than sort of what I can provide to you through this is what that resolution said. This is now what Joint Rule 22A says. And I see that while I was talking, Representative Odie walked into the room. So I believe you are now set on having 5 members and that can vote. And your issue is now one of not having witnesses.
And okay. And Charlene?
I just got an email from David Englander saying that he has a vertigo spell. So he wants to appear at the next meeting. He was the first one.
First rule?
He was the first rule.
Is there any problem with the timing on that?
It's an emergency rule, so it's already in place.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not a problem then. Okay.
Yeah.
And the other 2 rules?
You could postpone
Later,
action on both of the other rules. One's an emergency rule. It's already in effect. I know they want to make a change to it. So you could hear from them on that, even if you don't act. And then the permanent rule, the last one on your schedule, the State Board of Education recognized accrediting agencies in relationship with other entities. You are within your 45 days. So you could push that 7 days and be fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Well, they're on the agenda for later, so that's maybe why they
I'm
got it in the room right now,
I'm
right?
gonna email.
Okay. All right, is there any more discussion from members of the committee about Anthea's comments?
No.
Okay, So I guess.
Mr. Chair, can I ask Anthea a question?
Yes, please, go ahead.
After the 15th, Anthea, where are we?
You have to meet in person.
Okay, thank you.
I will add to that, or there needs to be another joint resolution amending joint rule 22A in some way, maybe matching what I know the House is planning to vote on today, which is a House resolution extending their remote option through March 8th.
Okay. Representative Pigley.
Mr. Chair, if I could ask a question of Anthea while I've got her here. Kind of interesting that you'll be talking to the back of my head so that I can see you and ask a question. Chair of House GovOps asked me yesterday, and actually I've been meaning to ask, is there a process where the rules could be sent electronically rather than by paper?
Yep. So I heard feedback about that stemming from the House Chairs meeting yesterday. I've been in contact with Connor, the Speaker's Chief of Staff, and I think that there was a little bit of confusion as to whether or not the rules were being posted electronically. They are, and what I will do is when this meeting is over, I will send a link to the committee members that shows them where they can find the rules electronically if they're looking for them. And Charlene and I will work together to make sure that the chairs of the subject matter committees are getting the information electronically in addition to or instead of the paper copies.
Okay, in addition to or instead of, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, I guess we're in a holding pattern right now.
Okay, hold on.
But the next rule's up at it. I'm sorry, what, Charlie?
Stephanie is signing in right now for 22E01.
Okay, so we have one witness coming in right now, so sit tight for a second.
I see Stephanie Hoffman.
Senator McDonald, are you ready for the Public Utility Commission rule?
Okay, it's Senator Bray coming back.
Representative Squirrel is chairing.
Yeah, okay, there's Senator Bray. All right, so Steph Hoffman, welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for giving us.
We're going to be hearing Rule 22 E01 Public Utility Commission PUC Emergency Rule 2.6 COVID-19 Emergency Disconnection Rule. Please proceed.
Emergency rule.
Oops. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. So in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Commission ordered a moratorium on various utility disconnections. And similarly, the legislature passed a moratorium on water utility disconnections.
Stephanie, just one second. I'm going to ask you to turn your video off to see if we can get a better quality audio.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, can you turn her up a little bit? Maybe could you get closer on your end?
That's
It's in our committee, but maybe. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Is this better at all?
That's better, yeah.
Thank you. So in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Commission has ordered a moratorium on various utility disconnections, and the legislature also placed a moratorium on water utility disconnections. On July 15th of last year, the moratorium on gas, electric, and basic telephone disconnections was lifted, and the moratorium on water disconnections was lifted on June 15th of last year, concurrent with the end of the state of emergency. In recognition of the persistent economic consequences of the pandemic, our emergency rule provides additional consumer notification requirements in order to encourage.
Stephanie, I'm sorry. I need to poll the committee here. Can committee understand what Stephanie is saying?
So.
all right.
It is difficult to hear.
I'm sorry, what, Senator Bray?
I said it is difficult to hear. It's a little garbled for me.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that. A number of us in the committee room are having difficulty also.
Can I sign off and try to sign back on really quickly?
What'd she say, Sharon?
Can she try signing off and signing back on?
Yeah, go out and come back in and see if that improves it. Thank you.
When she comes up. Yeah, hers and our speakers are off.
That's garbled. I'm sorry, it's not volume so much as it's garbled.
Yeah, it's not clear to begin with. We're just amplifying it, not clear.
Well, so let me ask you, House members who have been doing these kind of hybrid meetings, have they been working generally pretty smoothly?
I would say yes.
Good.
I'm so sorry, can you hear me any better now?
Yeah, but still turn off your video just to make it as good as possible. Yeah.
Is everyone hearing me okay at this point?
That's better, I think.
Try it.
All right, we're going to give it a go. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead that this rule in summary is in response to the post-moratorium period to provide an incentive for customers of the various utilities that are eligible for additional financial assistance based on different federal programs that are distributed to Vermonters, and also to enhance consumer protections to customers who may be experiencing financial hardship due to the pandemic. This is the same emergency procedure rule approved by LCAR last July, with functionally one substantive change that is contained in the revised version submitted to LCAR this past Monday. That revision is also responsive to the comment that was filed in our electronic filing system and was also submitted to LCAR on Tuesday. That comment was from Legal Aid, highlighting a new program that provides financial assistance to homeowners in Vermont. The program is called the Vermont Homeowner Assistance Program, or VHAP. So the new version of this emergency rule essentially swaps out the VCAP 2 program, which sunsetted last year, for the VHAP program, and makes a few other very, very minor non-substantive modifications that are shown in the red lines received by LCAR. Both the Vermont Department of Public Service and Green Mountain Power also submitted comments supporting the addition of the VHAP program to the rule. So we are requesting respectfully that LCAR issue a memo supporting this amended version of the emergency rule that includes the VHAP program in response to the comments that were received on this rule. And we received no other comments after issuing the emergency rule. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Committee questions, comments? Seeing none, I have no questions. I would say there's a change based on some changes in some programming, the VHAP program in particular. So that's, I guess, the only change to the rule as initially submitted. Is there a motion? Okay. I think the motion would be move to approve the rule as presented with the modifications proposed by the PUC in the letter from Steph Hoffman dated February 7th, 2022.
Yes.
You agree? Okay, that's the motion. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Rules passed. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. Thanks for bearing with me on the technical issues. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah,
take
you
care.
too.
Shirley, I just realized that we have minutes from the last meeting.
We do, but.
I don't think any of us have copies of it.
Yeah, I didn't have that.
All right, what we'll do is we'll postpone it to the next meeting. We'll take care of both sets of minutes at the next meeting. Okay. Do we have, I think I saw Jennifer Samuelson. Right? Okay, good. Great. Welcome. I can't hear you.
You're muted, Jen.
Yep, there I go. Good morning.
We're having some technical difficulties today, and we're trying to work through that, but appreciate you moving up your schedule to be here now. This is Rule 21P35, State Board of Education, recognized accrediting agencies and relationship with other entities. The floor is yours.
All righty. Well, thank you all. Very nice to be here. And I believe I have Donna Russo-Savage here as well. So I'm Jennifer Samuelson. I'm the Vice Chair of the State Board of Education. And we thought what we're going to do is I'm going to sort of present the high level part of the presentation, and then I'll let Donna sort of get into the nitty gritty aspects of it. So as you know, the State Board of Education is currently in the midst of updating its Rule 2200 series, which is not what's before you today yet, but the storyline is relevant. So the Rule 2200 series are the rules pertaining to independent school approvals. Most of those changes to the rules are being crafted by the Act 173 Advisory Group, but a little bit more than a year ago, the State Board of Education formed its own 2200 subcommittee to look at other changes to the rules that could sort of be tacked on to the Act 173 amendments. In the course of that, at one of our meetings last March, the executive director of ASNE, which is the Association for Independent Schools in New England, appeared at one of our subcommittee meetings and commented that ASNE is not listed in Rule 7320, and she was seeking the ability to be listed as an accrediting agency. So this 2200 subcommittee brought the request before the full state board, and the state board agreed that it would be appropriate for ASNE to be included. But that really got the 2200 subcommittee looking at the entire Rule 7000 series. And so as we considered the Rule 7000 series, three things sort of became apparent to us. One is that the list of agencies that's listed in Rule 7320 reveals that the list has not been updated for some time and is in need of revision. Second, we were sort of confronted with the twin realities that this list is out of date and that rulemaking is a lengthy process. And what we discussed in the 2200 subcommittee is that instead of having this list of accrediting agencies listed by name in a rule, it would probably be a better framework to set up a provision within the 2200 series, which is really, what governs independent schools, to set the framework up there for what it would require to be an accrediting agency. And then based on that framework, have something set up on the State Board of Ed and AOE websites with a current list that we could update sort of in live time of recognized accrediting agencies. And then the third thing that we realized is, with the exception of Rule 7320, none of the other rules in the 7000 series actually provide any substantive information. They're all cross-references to other rules. And so that kind of, all of those three things combined led us to where we are today. So we opened the Rule 7000 series for two distinct purposes. One was to repeal effective 15 days after the adoption pursuant to 3 VSA Section 845 to eliminate all of the rules that provide no independent information. And then to repeal effective July 1st, 2024, Rule 7320. The idea behind that is putting a repeal date far out in the future will, first of all, keep a fire under our feet to actually update the framework within the 2200 series. It will allow us time to engage in rulemaking, solicit input from affected organizations, And, if we were to run out of time, we felt that we could always come back and request an extension. And then finally, creating that automatic repeal is economically advantageous because, as you know, there is a cost every time we open up the rule. So for all of those reasons, we thought if we could repeal everything but 7320 immediately, because there's no substantive information provided in those rules, and then really telegraph that we're going to be looking at the accrediting agencies and repeal 7320 at some point in the future. So I'll pause there for questions, and if there are none, then I can certainly let Donna sort of get into the details.
Committee members? Not seeing any questions.
Also, I guess Jen, as I've read this and have been thinking about it, I can't help worrying a little bit about the notion of repealing the way that schools are accredited that's in place now without actually knowing what's going to take its place. And I realize, well, I hear what you say, that both hold your feet to the fire and you can get an extension. I'm still wondering why we're doing a repeal of that section. I guess one question is, I'm sure you've thought about this, but I just want to hear the answer. Why not repeal the rest of the rule, but leave that in place until you actually replace it?
It may come down just to, a simple question of finances, because by building in the automatic repeal at this point, we've already sort of forecasted the end of this. And so we won't have to then, pay the fee again to reopen the rule. And we felt that, setting a repeal date, 2.5 years from now would be ample time for us to accomplish the rulemaking that would be required to then sort of shift this framework into the 2200 series. And then this rule would just automatically be repealed.
And then what happens if there's deadlock or serious disagreement in the committee? We have something now, in the board, with the board. We have something now that works. It makes me nervous.
Well, and I guess the question is, we didn't look too carefully at the list of accrediting agencies in 7320. Our suspicion is that many of those accrediting agencies may not be relevant, and it would probably be time to clean up that list anyway. So I guess the flip side to what you're saying is, there is a list there. I'm not sure, how accurate or up to date is, because we simply haven't really looked into that. And Donna can speak more to this, but we did have one public comment hearing, and we had one organization appear to tell us the name of the organization had changed, which we had not known. So, we've updated the rule in response to that public comment. But it really just goes to the question of, we don't know the last time this rule was considered and when these agencies were verified.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Senator McDonald.
Well, we're dealing with accreditation here. Is there in anybody's memory a independent school that has had with its accreditation withheld? And is there can anybody remember that ever having taken place?
And I'm sorry, are you asking me or are you asking the committee?
Asking the witness.
Well, I will say that we have, I believe, 33 independent schools that are currently up for reapproval right now, that are, we've sort of put them in the parking lot until 2200. Those rules are fully amended and approved by LCAR. So once that happens, then we'll start looking at those approved independent schools. So within my memory, I can't think of any independent schools that have not been reapproved, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. I just don't know about it. And what I can tell you is that there are 33 schools that are looking, and we have updated within the 2200 series the requirements for approval. So that may change the outcome for some of those schools. We haven't tested them with our new framework in the 2200 series.
Thank the witness. Perhaps Donna Russo Savage has some knowledge, history. Have we ever denied
I don't have
an approval in recent memory?
I don't have any information about that. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Donna, do you want to go through?
I'm happy to if the committee has any, would like me to, or if you have any questions about the rule as it's been laid out. I can describe it if you'd like me to, or not. What would you prefer?
Why don't you go ahead and describe it?
Okay, if you look at the annotated version, you'll see that there are a number of lines that are crossed out, rules and sub-rules. 7100 and all of its sub-rules, 7200 and all of its sub-rules, 7310 on the first page, and then 7330 on the second page. All of those are what Vice Chair Samuelson referenced as non-substantive rules. All they do is refer to other rules or other statutes that address certain topics. So those are all of those that are crossed out are the rules that would be repealed effective 15 days after final approval. It isn't until about 2/3 of the way down the first page where you see the 7300 relationship with other educational institutions and agencies, and then slightly below that 7320 recognized accrediting agencies, that you see the list of all of the accrediting agencies that are recognized by the state board. The change, the word regional is struck through and institutional is replaced because of the one public comment we received that it's no longer the way that to which to refer to these as regional agencies. They're referred to as institutional agencies. And then on about midway on the second page, you'll see that the National Association of Trade and Technical Schools is crossed out, and its new name is added, and that's the same witness who appeared. The effective date, and I realize after the fact that I did this as though I was drafting legislation, and I might not have needed to be done quite in this way, but the effective dates state that those cross-through rules will be repealed on 15 days after the final approval, and that the text that is not crossed through the 7320 rule will be repealed in the future in 2024. So the clean rule actually gives you two versions of the clean rule. On the first page, and then the top of the second page is what it would look like in 15 days. And then in the middle of the second page is the clean text as it will look on July 1, 2024.
Committee, we okay? Any additional questions or comments from committee members? May I have a motion? Representative Baumgartz? Okay, we have a motion from Representative Baumgartz to approve Rule 21 P35. State Board of Education recognized accrediting agencies and relationship with other entities. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, you have approved Rule 21 P35. Thank you, Jennifer and Donna.
Thank you.
Thank
all.
you. Bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Is there any new business before the committee? Seeing any? When's the next meeting?
The next meeting will be February 24th.
Okay.
There's two, the cannabis rules, Rule 1 and Rule 2.
And this
I
one,
sent those out yesterday, so you'll get them either today or
okay.
via mail.
And we'll also review the minutes from the prior meeting and this meeting at our next meeting.
And the 21E22
Yes,
will be on for that.
okay, all right. A motion to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your patience.
Thank you, Trevor.